Friends, hi. Eric Andreas, YourGuitarSage here, and woo! We back in the studio. Very, very excited to be with you guys today. We've had a blast over the last 2 months being at home, but alas, we are here and we are getting all set up. So today may be a little janky. It's probably not going to be as janky as my little Spider-Man son jumping in the camera frame and talking to you about the 5 elements of music and that sort of thing, or the cats jumping up on me. It's going to be a little bit more pro than that, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of love coming to you guys today. So Mike and Emmy are in the house today, and we're going to have a blast. And something new is we are actually live streaming now amongst several platforms today, which is another reason why we wanted to get back in the studio. So we're actually live on Facebook. So Facebook folks, hello. We're on Instagram folks, hello. We're on Twitch. We're on some other places. Where else? Are we Periscope as well?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay. A lot of different places today. So we're trying to make this available to folks all around. So friends, welcome to the crash course in music theory. I got together with the crew. This is something that you guys voted on after we did the things that we did, like learning songs by ear, right? And then the other bit was learning how to solo, which was all last week. So we're going to have a blast here today. Friends, music theory is the knowledge or the practices, best practices of music. If you will, music was a thing or is a thing, and music theory is the thing that describes how musicians do stuff, the patterns, if you will. It's just the study of, okay? Before there was biology, there were things walking around, moving around. They didn't have to worry about biology, but people came along and they said, hey, what's this stuff called life? Let's study it, and hence biology became a thing, okay? So just understand that music theory is the knowledge of music, and if we have a good knowledge of something that we love to do, something that we're having a blast at, then it's only going to help us even more become better at what it is that we want to do. Doesn't that make sense? Him, thank you so much for the kind donation. I so appreciate that. And friends, if you're donating via, we've got a new thing that we're doing too via PayPal. We've got a way to donate via PayPal. So if you're doing that as well, thank you so much. We won't be able to see it here on the screen, but we thank you ahead of time, okay? So understand that the reason that we're doing this is we're wanting to understand more about the thing that we love. Doesn't that make sense? If we fall in love with somebody, we want to know all about them. We want to know about their childhood, the way they think, just all. If you have a new actor or actress that you're just like, oh my gosh, this person's amazing, you look up their Wikipedia. You want to find out about them, right? Whatever it is that you want to know, you lean into, you get more information from, and alas, you get better at whatever it is that you're trying to do. So that's all music theory is. For those folks that fear music theory or they think that it's somehow going to limit their musicality, let me just dispel some myths here for a moment. There are people who know music theory, and they'll say it. I know music theory. I know this, that, the other thing. And then there are people who know music theory and don't understand they know music theory. Now I'm talking musicians, right? Take somebody like me who says, yes, of course I know music theory because I understand what it means and I know the patterns, et cetera, et cetera. Or take somebody like Dave Grohl. Arguably, maybe not even arguably, no, well, definitely a more successful rock musician than me, okay? And he says that he doesn't know any music theory. But alas, he knows plenty of music theory, and we'll explain this as we're going along. He just doesn't understand that he knows music theory. He sees the patterns, he's got all the patterns, it's the same stuff. He just may not be naming those things what we're naming them because he hadn't studied it, that's all. But he's definitely abiding by the same rules. Vince, thank you so much for the kind donation. Super, super kind, friends. Okay, so understand that. We need to, if we have this knowledge of music, number one, we're going to be able to speak with other musicians. We're going to be able to duplicate things, okay? So, for instance, if we, Lee, thank you for the donation, buddy. So for instance, if we did something in a particular song and we evoked a certain emotion and it became something that we were like, gosh, I really want to repeat that, music theory will allow us to do that. Remus, thanks for the donation, friend. But if we don't have that knowledge, if we don't have the understanding, if we don't have the definitions, how are we ever going to repeat that? That'd be like building the most beautiful building in the world, and someone says, well, how did you do that? And you're like, man, I just don't know. I just started assembling bricks and steel and what have you, and there it is, but I can't do it again, sorry, But if you have blueprints, if you understand what it is that you did and you do some planning, boom, you can repeat that. And it will also allow you to speak with other musicians using the same nomenclature, the same definitions and what have you, okay? If I say to you, hey, I want you to play a B minor pentatonic scale, and buddy, I want you to play a B minor 7th chord. Let's do this in 4/4, and tempo is going to be 120 beats per minute. And I want it to kind of have a Spanish feel, and whatever. And I'm throwing out these terms, and as a musician, you're missing them. Well, then how good of a musician are you, right? Now, to those, I'm putting in quotes right here, those musicians who say that music theory is going to damage their creativity, I only hear that from fledgling musicians who have a giant... Chuck, thank you so much for the beautiful donation. Wow, $50. Pops, come on, man. Love you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Only see that from the fledgling musicians who don't understand that this is the stuff that's going to empower them, okay? Now, with that being said, let's delve into this, okay? I think I covered the basics there enough. Friends, if you have not already, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Share it out to the interwebs, however you're looking at this right now on any of the platforms. If you would, please go ahead and share it. That will let other folks know what we're doing here, and it will help them during this time to keep their mind on positive things, improving themselves, and what have you, okay? Thank you so much for doing that. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell. All right, here we go. So, now that we know that we need music theory, or that the more music theory that we have, the more we can do in music. That's not a bad thing. The better of a musician you'll be, okay? You can always forget it. You can always forget these rules, but got to know them to start, okay? Now, let's talk about the physics of sound. We're going to talk from the very beginning here, and I'm going to go through 5 days of this with you. And the reason that I've chosen the things that I've chosen here to walk you through this week is I've only taken the things that you're going to be using all the time, and I took out the things that you're hardly ever going to use. Otherwise, we could be here for a very, very, very long time, and why do that when we could focus on the things that we're going to be using all the time? Adrian, thank you so much. Nice studio. Adrian's never seen our studio. He's only seen it from the quarantine days. So beautiful. Thank you, Adrian. So kind. Okay, where was I? Physics of sound. The reason what we're doing this week is I'm walking you through it step by step. I say you can know music theory if you do it step by step, if you have a good method, and then obviously if you're getting it from somebody who can relay everything to you and walk you through it. You're not going to have a problem with this, but I promise you the stuff that we're going to be looking at is the stuff you're going to be using all the time, and I'm taking out the things that you're not going to be using. These are tried and true. I've done this for over 30 years, literally have taught over 10,000 lessons, and when I speak to, if you watch that interview that we just did with Marty Schwartz, well, I say that we just did, that's not coming out yet. That'll be coming out tomorrow. We'll let you know right after the broadcast. We'll be premiering that. But Marty was saying all the same things, resonating in the same way, but he just says it in a slightly different way. Just did another interview with Andy Guitar the other day. Same thing, saying the same stuff. Every guitar player, every musician that I get together with where they've been playing for a while, they say the same things. Now, why is that? Well, it's because there's truth, right? There's truisms when you are in a particular field. And Marty was saying, man, I don't really think about the modes, but pentatonic, man, I find pentatonic in everything, and boom, that's why I teach you pentatonic all the time, and that's why you'll see fledglings, nothing wrong with it, but you'll see it in the chat. People say, like, could you please unravel the mystery of modes? Yes, I will when we get done doing that. We're not doing it this week, but when I get done doing that, you'll be like, wow, that's not going to help me. Exactly. That's why we're not talking about it this week. So just focusing on the things that are important, the things that are going to carry you through as a musician, that are going to rock you, that are going to change your world, and taking out the things that are going to confuse you, that you're never going to use. Deal? Okay? All right. So let's do this step by step. No stone should be unturned. The closer you are to the beginning of learning a particular subject, the more attentive you should be, the more focused you should be, the more you should be taking notes, paying attention, because this is the stuff. This is the foundation, right? You're literally clearing the field so that you can start putting the foundation of your house down. If you're putting that down on marsh and it's wet and it's not hard limestone or hard dirt or something, you're going to have problems, and this is the day that we're on today, is building that very foundation there. People oftentimes think, I'm too good for that. I'm going to skip over that. Bad idea, bro. Don't do that. This is the stuff that you need to most pay attention to, because it's the stuff that you're going to be basing everything else off of this week is today. So important today. People skipping today, boo. Not smart to do. Okay? Now, let's get into it. The physics of sound. Let's talk about the basics of what sound is. So I've said it before. Sound is vibration. It's when we can audibly hear through the sensation of sound, right? Through our sense of sound. And what happens is something vibrates. A string, the earth, the speaker in your TV, the speaker in your computer right now. In fact, let's go backwards. I'm speaking, my vocal cords are vibrating, my guitar string is vibrating. That's creating airwaves that are hitting the diaphragm of this microphone. You even hear that. That's electronically going into voltage, which is getting sent to the internet, which is traveling thousands and tens of thousands of miles all around the world. And in a split second, it's hitting your computer, and your computer is saying, okay, this is the information. Okay, I'm going to create this sound. Eric hit an E on his guitar, and I'm going to recreate that, and then it's vibrating your speaker at the same exact pitch that I'm doing this at, and you're hearing it right now. How about that? Isn't that amazing? So basically, sound is the vibration of your eardrum. So these sound waves hit your eardrum. The smallest bone in the body is a little tapper that hits on basically a drum, and that is what creates the sound. And then your brain interprets that as pitch or sound, okay? This is why folks that say, I am tone deaf, and I don't care that there's a definition on the internet about tone deafness. It's so far and few between, and even then, I still need someone to explain the physics to me, because if you can hear tone whatsoever, anything that you can hear is a pitch. So someone's going to have to explain the science to me, how one can hear a pitch and yet not hear a pitch at the same time. It's either on or it's off. So if you can hear, you're hearing pitch. You cannot hear and not hear pitch at the same time. I say that for those folks that think that they may be tone deaf. You ain't tone deaf, okay? It's a myth. I don't care that there's a definition out there. Trust me, you're not tone deaf, okay? If you can hear my voice, you're not tone deaf. Rich, thank you so much for the kind donation. Yes, their studios are not free. Indeed, this one is for sure not free. Thank you so much, Rich. Super kind. Okay, so basically that's what's happening, okay? Physics of sound. The bigger a body is, like the thicker a string is, the lower the pitch will be. The thinner the string is, the higher the pitch will be. The smaller a body, right? When we take this string that's this long and we pluck it, if we make it shorter, it goes up in pitch, right? So the bigger something is, the lower the pitch. The smaller something is, the higher the pitch, as a general rule, okay? Cool. Cover the surfaces there. Number two, there's 5 basic elements to music, but there's more. Melody, which is when we hear individual notes at a time, you know. That's a melody. There's harmony, which is when we hear several notes at a time. Or, in the case of a chord, okay, that's harmony. Rhythm is like, basically rhythm is some sort of motif. A motif is a musical idea, and rhythm is basically rests and notes, but represented only in the duration of time. So this would be a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So we have rhythm. We have dynamics, which is the intensity. So if I'm playing like this is very quiet. And I could crescendo, you know, and get louder. So we have intensity there. Timbre, or timbre, is the sound of an instrument. So I can sing, or I can play this E. E. Graham, thank you so much. Thank you for this. I need to brush up on my music theory basics, and you guys are doing a huge service to the community by doing this for free. Thank you so much, Graham. So appreciate it. These donations are really helping us out during this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you hear this. That sounds like a guitar, or I could sing. That doesn't sound like a guitar. That sounds like Eric Andreas' voice singing in E, right? Because my voice has a certain timbre, my throat, the way my head is, my body, everything. It's what generates the tone that when you hear me, or you hear Pavarotti, or you hear this guitar, or you hear a violin, or whatever instrument play the same notes, you can distinguish the difference between them. That's called timbre, okay? And then there's other things that, so those are the basic 5 there, but there's other things too, like nuance or feel. There's different ways you can get to a note. You can just play a note. You can hammer a note. You can pull off to a note. You can slide to a note, slide up to it. You can slide down to it. You could use a slide. You could, there's many different ways you could do it. You could use it with vibrato. You could just do straight. You could bend up to it. So many different nuances that we can create there, right? Okay, let's talk about some definitions. And oh, by the way, friends, if you guys are going to have to keep me up to date with how many folks, when we hit milestones here today inside of the chat, because today I can't, and I won't from now on probably be able to see how many folks we have in the chat. So let me know if we hit a new, you know, when we hit 600. Let me know when we hit 700. Let me know when we hit 800, 900, 1,000, all right? 800. Okay, all right, here we go. Friends, the stuff, so much of the stuff that we're talking about today, I am giving you for free inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System, okay? Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. Is it the 3rd link below, guys, as per usual?
I'm not sure how far down it is.
Let me double check.
Okay. Woo! We just got up to 800. Nice. Oh, for reals? Friends, this is the first time we've hit 800. That is friggin' awesome. Woohoo! That's something to celebrate. Dude, we've been trying to do that for 2 months now. So beautiful. Love it. And that doesn't even include all the folks that we have that are on Twitch right now and Instagram and Facebook and everything. So that makes us happy, because why wouldn't we want to reach more people, right? Ah, love it. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Okay, friends, all the stuff that we're going to, or almost all the stuff that we're talking about today is included in UGS Standard. 3rd link below, or just look below. Confirm that with me if you would, Em, where I'm directing them to the right place.
And then it in the chat, but it is in the.
Okay, beautiful.
It's under like a category in below.
Gotcha. Okay, and you'll see Emmy just posted that right there on the screen there. Get into that, not right this second, but get into it later, because there I walk you through it step by step. I'm also giving you PDFs, many PDFs that will guide you for each particular lesson that we're doing today, and this is the one that we're going to be using right now, okay? Okay. Man, this is the old one. Oh, well. Well, I can't see it, Mike, but it's totally fine. Let's just go ahead and put that first one up there, if you would.
It's the top half down to the fretboard.
Yeah, okay. And I won't, since I can't see it, our monitor went down right before I unplugged something. So, Mike loves that when I do that. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to look at these definitions here because we need to still just cover some bases here before we get rolling, okay? And what we're going to be doing now is, James, thank you so much for the donation, brother. So kind. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some basic definitions, or actually, no, this first half, Mike, I'm looking at the old PDF. The top part doesn't have any definitions. It's the bottom part, right?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Let's talk. We'll get to donation, or we'll get to notes on the fretboard in just one moment. Let's talk about, or we'll talk about definitions in a moment. We're going to talk about notes on the fretboard right now. Okay, so before we get into music theory, before we get into the hacks of the fretboard, we have to know where the notes are at. Many of you know this already. You've been through UGS Pro. You've been through Standard. Doesn't matter. Let's refresh ourselves here. For those that don't know this, we got to know this. I'm going to go through it very quickly because I've got it free for you in UGS Standard, okay? And I'm assuming that you guys know some of this stuff already, but you know where to find it if you don't, okay? Very important that we know the names of the open strings and that we know the notes going up the fretboard. Super important that we know this, because if we don't, then we really don't know where we're at on the map. Now, usually guitar players will work a lot with patterns, so they're not necessarily thinking about the notes. Okay, they're not. When you see Stevie Ray Vaughan playing, or some of your favorite players, they're not registering all the notes in their head like you might think. Okay. Although, if you stopped them and you said, "Hey, Stevie, what note is that?" then he would go, "Okay, let me tell you. It is, let's see, I'm A flat, tuned down a half step, and I'm here, and I'm playing this. Okay, it's a blank." And then it would take a second, but usually they'd connect all the dots and they'd say it's this note. Now, why is it that they don't know that, and why is it that we're learning this? Well, the reason that they don't know it is it's too much information to think about, and it's not necessary. Again, if you allow me to guide you like I've guided, including online, millions of people. So if you allow me to guide you, I promise you I'm going to make this super easy for you, and I'm going to show you what it is you need to know without the stuff you don't need to, okay? But us as musicians, we think about patterns. So if I wanted to play a scale, that is A blues, and I know it as a pattern. Here's the next key, and I'm thinking about it as a pattern. It's the same exact pattern. I wouldn't be thinking about the sharps and flats because, number one, that would be very difficult. It would take a long time, and there's no glory in it. It doesn't do anything. No one gives a crap. Okay, I don't know how else I can put it. No one cares that you know the notes. They want you to go up and play a great song. They want you to play a great solo. Okay, maybe there's some nerd out there that's like, yeah, but he doesn't know the names of the notes. Okay, cool. For you, learn the notes. Otherwise, no one cares. But we do want to know the names of the notes on the fretboard should we be asked or should we need them. Does that make sense? So we don't need to have them just in our minds at all times, but we do need to be able to come up with them. Dan, thank you so much for the donation, buddy. Okay, so we're going to learn the notes, and here they are. This, as I've said before, I've never counted 1 to a billion, but I know without a shadow of a doubt that I could do it and do it accurately. Leon, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I love the thing there, chomp chomp or whatever you're saying there on VP. Thank you. I've never counted to a billion, neither of you, I don't think. But we know we can do this. Why do we know we can do it? It's because there's a protocol. There's a way to do it. You count 1 through 9, move the decimal over. Now you got tens. Then you got, 1 there, and then decimals up to 9, or the numbers up to 9. Then we go to 20s, and we can do that up to 100, and then decimal moves over. And we just continue to do this until we get to a billion. So we just need to know the 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, etc., million. and then eventually we'll get there, right? Well, in the same way, this is how we're going to remember, or this is how we're going to be able to identify the notes at any time without having to memorize this, and this will just take you a minute, all right? We need to know the names of the open strings. The strings are E, just from the lowest string here, E, A, D, G, B, E. E, A, D, G, B, E. It's on the PDF for you that I'm giving you, so I'm going to fly through this, all right? Because you got it available to you. I remember this, and I've taught it for years like this. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. If you remember that little cartoon from the 90s, was it the 90s? Early 2000s? You watched that, Emmy, didn't you? Ed, and Eddie?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. And the Powerpuff Girls?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Carly's favorite. Cartoon Network, they used to have this cartoon called Ed, and Eddie. So just remember, these kids would get in trouble all the time. They were always doing bad stuff. So just remember him eating a piece of dynamite, going to heaven. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. I know, but you won't forget it now. I know I'm a weirdo, but you won't forget that. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. That's how you remember the string names. If you just take the first letter of each one of those, you have E, A, D, G, B, E. Cool? Good, you got that. Now there's a couple other things that we need to remember is the musical alphabet goes from A to G. There is no H, I, J, K, L, M, N, and P, at least in America there's not, okay? There are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so 7 notes are represented by some sort of letter. In different countries they do some different stuff. In Germany I think there's an H in there, but they do it differently, okay? Nonetheless, 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over again, okay? No H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. There's no H chord, okay? So know that. Also know that there's something called a sharp and a flat. A sharp is when we raise a pitch up. So if this is a G, if I raise it up by a half step, that will be G sharp, okay? G sharp. Now, we also have something called a flat. It's when we lower or we lessen a note. So think about flattening a balloon, like pushing it down, flattening it, or sharp. Think about like something coming, maybe like the TransUnion Tower or a building, you know, the Empire State Building, coming to a point. It's sharp at the top. Just remember that. Going up and flattening is going down, pressing a balloon down. So we can use this as an adverb. We can use it as a noun. So you say that note's a sharp, or sharpen that note, or that's a G sharp. There's many different ways we can use it. So if this is a G, which it is, then if we went up a half step, that would be a G sharp. It's also, this note's an A, so the G sharp is also an A flat. So a G sharp and an A flat, they are the same. Okay? They just have different names. Now, you're going to find yourself going, why? Why is that? Okay? And that's okay if you do that. Yeah, we got the windows open. We got the doors open today, friends, by the way. So you're going to hear all manner of like sirens and motorcycles and everything. We're chill here. All right? So you're going to hear that. Actually, we got several doors and windows open today. So a G sharp and a flat. Just remember that sharp is when we bring something up. Flat's when we lower something. Cool? Another thing we need to remember is that every note has a sharp. Oh, is it raining, Em?
It's boring.
Okay, this back door probably needs to be closed because I think I have a seat out. But if it's fine, then just leave it. All right, thanks. We're chill here today. All right, so a sharp's when we raise something, flat's when we lower it. We need to remember that every note has a sharp except for B and E. Every note has a sharp except for B and E. And you'll see that right on that PDF that I'm giving you that's in the free course today, the third link below, let's do this in our minds. I want you to do this with me. Listen, if you don't do this stuff right away, any new thing that you learn, if you do not apply it right away, you might as well have not even learned it, because it's a waste of your time and the person teaching it. So do not waste your time, friends. Your time is really, really important. Your time is important to me. It's why I try to do this stuff as quickly as possible, but it needs a thorough explanation sometimes, okay? So, we're going to do this together. We're going to go through the musical alphabet. I want you to do it with me. I don't care if you've done it before. Test yourself and see if you're perfect at this, because if you're not, it means you needed more help. And if you have never done this before, promise you this is going to be very helpful to you. So we know how to count ABC, or we know how to say the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Good, you're halfway there. Now the only thing we need to remember is that B and E don't have a sharp. Oh, Eric, how will I remember that? There's 7 notes. How will I remember B and E don't have a sharp? Let it be, let it be. Remember that song for the Beatles, right? Let it be. Just remember B and E don't have a sharp, okay? Also, you're not very sharp if you commit breaking and entering, right? If you go break into a place and steal, breaking and entry is not very sharp. That's another way you can think about it, okay? Easy enough? You got that now. So, now let's go through the alphabet. Starting at our first letter, A, right? A. So, watch this. That's an A open string, right? Because we know this. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. We've taken the first letter, so this is an A. So, if every note has a sharp, except for B and E, then if we're going up 1 fret, which by the way is called a half step. 1 fret is called a half step. 2 frets is called a whole step. Okay, more on that later. So if we're on an A, we're playing an A. Now I'm playing fret 1 of that 5th string. Then this note right here would be called a what? What is it called? We know every note has a sharp. So it would be A sharp, right? And then we're just going to go up every single time. So now what's the next letter in the alphabet? It's B, right? So A sharp, B. And we know that every note has a sharp except for B and E. So if we know this guy doesn't have a sharp, then we're going to go straight to letter C. There you go. You got it, right? But we know C has a sharp, so C sharp. Next letter in the alphabet is D. Does D have a sharp? You bet your sweet bippy it does. Right there. Right? A, B, C, D, E. Does E have a sharp? Nope, it doesn't. Right? So F, straight to F. F have a sharp? You know it does. F sharp. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G have a sharp? It does. And then back to, because we go all the way back to the beginning again, right? So now we're back to what? A. Okay? So that is literally the entire musical spectrum. Okay? Like a spectrum of colors. That's why we call it the chromatic scale. Chroma meaning color. So it's the entire, it's all the colors in diatonic harmony. Okay? So A through G sharp, and then it starts over again. Now, because of that, I want to talk to you about Springboards, because this is going to help you a ton, because I know some of you at home are going, well, Eric, it's going to take me forever to memorize that. No, friends, here's the deal. You don't have to memorize any of it. Number one, I'm giving you the course for free. I'm giving you this video for free, but you don't have to memorize it. You just need to know Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. You need to know the names of the notes here, and then A through G, and all the notes have sharps and flats except for B and E. That's the only things you need to know. And then you'll get really acquainted with this later on. But Eric, I want to be like Steve Vai. I want to be like Eric Johnson. I want to be like all these guys. They have all the notes memorized. No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm telling you, they don't. They are doing the same thing. There's not like some magic method. For the same reason that if you just took a screenshot of that right there without knowing this or any of this, and I just said that right there, and I said Eric Johnson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, whoever you are, best guitar player in the world, what fret is that? Well, they would need to know that this is the 12th fret or that this is the 9th fret. They would need to use association. You can't look at that fret and know the name of the fret. It's impossible. There's nothing special about that fret. The only reason that you know that fret is because of its association to 12 or its association to 7 or to 0. Make sense? So everybody is using association. No one is not using association. So this is what we're doing. Cool? Got it? Good. You believe me now. All right, so we got the notes going up the fretboard. Works for everything. So if we did this on E, This is the E string, so we're not going to obviously start on A on the E string. It's tuned to E. So E, does E have a sharp? I think you know this. It does not. Friends, we're up to 857 folks just here on YouTube. That is amazing. It's because you guys are sharing this. Thank you. Thank you so much, friends. All right, so E goes straight to F, doesn't it? Yep, because E doesn't have a sharp. So F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Look, starts over again. G, G sharp, A, and then A sharp, B. Okay, keeps going. Just remember the name of the notes or what they are when they're tuned to this. Okay, so this is tuned to an E. That's why we're starting there. No, it doesn't start at A. It starts at E on the E string. The A starts on an A. The G string starts on a G. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, remember we said we came up to this 12th fret. This is where it starts getting fun. If you made it this far, friends, the rest of this is super duper fun. Okay? So congratulations for you. You hung in there. That was the boring stuff, but at the same time, it's not boring because to me, it's the most important stuff to know. If you skip over that, you're screwed. You're not going to get this stuff. Okay? You got to know it. Now, you notice that when we got to the 12th fret here, we had an A again. We said G sharp and then A. What's up with that? So this 12th fret is very unique, and in fact, it's going to be one of our first springboards. A springboard is a term that I came up with to basically just be like, okay, from here, you know what these notes are because of association, because of something else. And because of that, it literally cuts down your time of trying to find something very, 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 very quickly. So, for instance, if, gosh, I don't know, if there was a marker or something like that in a road, someone says, hey, when you come to the four-way stop, you're going to see a yellow house on your left. That's the four-way stop that you want to take a right at. So you have a marker, and then you have that visual marker in your mind, and then you go, oh yeah, that's what they said. Boom, I'm in the right place. That's what springboards are, and they're going to help you immensely, okay? And they're super easy to know. So check this out. At the 12th fret, everything starts over again. You heard me right. Everything starts over. So A, B, C can be played here. A, B, C, but an octave up. Well, Eric, now you're confusing me. What's an octave? An octave is a doubling or halving of the frequency or vibration speed of a particular object. So for instance, let's say I'm plucking this and it's vibrating at 100 cycles per second. Okay, I can tell you it's not, because that's not what an A is, but let's just say it. It's like 110, I think. I think this is 110. Let's go ahead and say 110. Well, if we go to the octave, it's vibrating at 220 cycles per second. And then if we go to that octave, that's vibrating at 440 cycles per second. If we double that, that's vibrating at 880 cycles per second. What we mean by cycles per second is if we pluck this and we can see the string actually shaking, there's a measurement called hertz, H-E-R-T-Z, and it will tell us, you can measure it, and it will tell you how fast that string is vibrating. Okay? And in the case of an A, of an open A, I think it's 110 cycles per second. If we cut that in half and we went to we went down there. Someone has a new race car out there. Okay, we know what that means. Okay, so 550 or 55 if we were going down an octave, okay? So we got vibration, where am I at? Hold on, we're going someplace. All right, so we got these springboards, and the 12th fret is where everything starts over again. So we have E, A, D, G, B, E. Now, why is this important? I'll tell you why. Because, again, these shortcuts are going to save so much time for you. So, for instance, my screen just went out there, guys. Would you check and make sure I've got power? I think my power just went out. Might not even be plugged in. Jiggle that chord there too, M, because it may be a little screwy. Okay, so E, A, D, G, B, E. At the 12th fret, it starts over, okay? Why is that important? Well, because if I say, hey, here I am at the 13th fret, and I say, what note is that? You don't have to count from here and go E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and do 13 steps to get there. You can say, well, I know this is an E and it's open, so I know the 12th fret is an E because Eric told me that it was. And then that means the next note will be an F. Does that make sense? Let's try this again. Here is an open A. Okay? Open A. Yep, I got it. Thanks, Em. I got to get my password in here so that I can see your beautiful comments and your beautiful donations and everything. Thank you, Em. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Ran out. So all, or the 12th fret on all these strings does the same thing. It's basically back to the beginning. Okay, so here we are at the A string, and here we are at the 11th fret of the A string. It's a G sharp, and then we're back to an A again. Okay, so if somebody asked you what this note is, the 11th fret, you wouldn't have to count from here. A sharp, D, C, C sharp, D. You wouldn't have to do all that. You'd say, well, this is an A. I know that because it's an octave of that. So if I go back a half step, it's an A flat or a G sharp, however you want to call it. Okay, there's reasons why we might call it an A flat or a G sharp, but that really has to do more with musical notation and some theory later on, but I don't want to confuse you right now, so that we're not going to tackle that quite yet. Okay, so here at the 12th fret, it starts over. That's what I call a static or a stationary springboard. It doesn't move. 0 fret, 12th fret. E, A, D, G, B, E, E, A, D, G, B, E. Cool? Got it? Good. Now, another springboard is, have you ever tuned your guitar to itself, like here at the 5th fret? Now for the B string, you have to go down a half step because that's the way the guitar is tuned. Don't be bothered by that. Just believe it right now. But for the most part, we're at the 5th fret here, except for that B string. It's tuned down a half step. We have to go down to the 4th fret. Nonetheless, there's a lesson to be learned here, right? If we're playing an A string and we're playing the 5th fret of the E string, watch this. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and here's an A string. Those are both the same note, right? Yes, they are, Eric. Thank you. So because those are the same notes, here's a new springboard, the 5th fret. Or once you understand how to tune the guitar to itself, like I teach you in the free course that I'm giving you today, YourGuitarSage.com/30, giving that to you today for free, I teach you how to tune the guitar to itself where you don't need a tuner, okay? We don't need that anymore. So, once you know that, then you know that this is an A. So when I look at the guitar, I think about, okay, well that's an E, I think about that as an A, I think about this as an E. There's other springboards that start popping up as you start learning more theory, but this is super easy. If I wanted to say, if somebody said, what note is this, Eric? I would immediately say it's a D sharp. Well, Eric, you've got the fretboard memorized. No, I don't. Not any more than you do. I literally know the same method that you do, or that Jimi Hendrix did and all these other guys. It's the same thing, friends, by the way. There's not some special way to do it. This is the special way, okay? So somebody asked me what note this is, I'd say it's a D sharp. I'm using the same method that you would be using now. I'm just maybe a little faster at it because I've done it a lot more, that's all. But I know this because this is a D. Why do I know that? Because if I'm tuning my guitar to a D string, I come up to the 5th fret of the A string, and those are both Ds. That's how I know that. So I know that a D has a sharp, so I know that going up a half step, then that note would be a D sharp, or an E flat, however I want to look at it. So now I've got another springboard right here, another stationary springboard right there at the 5th/4th fret for that B string, okay? So someone asked me what this note is. I know immediately it's an A flat because this is an A. And I don't have to count, hold on, E, F, F sharp, G, G, it's a G sharp or A flat, boom. That note is gone. It was music, it was in time, it's gone now. So you gotta be quick at this stuff. This is how to be quick at it. So we got the 0th fret, the 12th fret, the 5th fret. Now what happens if we add 12 to the 5th fret? Well, then we get 17, right? So at the 17th fret here, it's the same exact notes as it was right here. So if you know what the notes are going up here, because you've tuned the guitar to itself, then at the 17th/16th fret for that B string, you will also have the exact same names. Make sense? Okay. If this doesn't make sense to you, all this stuff is in UGS, right? And I give you free access to the first top 30-something lessons in there, stuff that's going to build a solid foundation for you. So get involved with that, okay? All right, those are our, what I call static or stationary springboards. Now let's talk about some movable springboards, okay? Because these are very, very important, and we're going to use them a lot later on. All right, and the ones that we're going to use, well, it's super easy. The 2 E strings, right? Anything that we do on one E string, we can do on the other. So, like if I'm walking this up, 0 fret, 2, 3, 5, 7. Doesn't matter what I do, as long as I do the same fret on either E string, we've got the same notes. Does that make sense? Because they're both E's, so they're not going to move differently, right? Cool. All right, so there's that. But then there's a really, really, really important springboard that is absolutely probably going to be the #1 thing that you use when you're soloing and that sort of thing. And it goes like this. If you're on the 6th or 5th string, I'll say it again, if you're on the 6th or 5th string, you can go down 2 strings and over 2 frets to find something up an octave. That's if you're tuned to standard tuning. If you're tuned to anything other than standard, it's obviously going to be different. But here I am on an A. I know this is an A because we just used our little springboard technique, right? And I know that if I'm tuning to an A string, I'm going to be at the 5th fret of the low E string. Cool? So I know this is an A right off the top of my head. So, Eric, what you're saying to me that if this is an A and I go down 2 strings, 1, 2, and I go up 2 frets, 1, 2, that's an A also? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How about that, right? So I can literally use this and it sounds really nice. I'm just using octaves and I'm not having to think too much. I just hold the same thing every time because the octave shows up the same place every single time off of the 6th and 5th string. More on that later. Okay, so now, if we go to the 5th string, you saying this will be true for this too, Eric? It is. I promise you. Watch this. Here is the 5th fret of the A string. 5th fret of the A string. It's a D. And if I play that, I know it's a D because when I'm tuning my guitar to a D, I play the 5th fret of the A string. Okay? So that's a D. And if I want to find an octave of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down 2 strings, 1, 2, and up 2 frets, 1, 2, just like that. And guess what? There's a D. Sounds like it. You can hear it. Bingo, bango, jango. That's awesome, right? Now, here I go. What? Yeah, those are octaves. Those are what I call movable octaves. Now, that is true for the 6th and the 5th strings. If you want videos on this and you're like, Eric, I don't want to take advantage of your daggone free course. You're always trying to make money off of your free course. I hate that. Okay, then, and by the way, on that free course, I have a quadruple your money back guarantee. You know that, right? So, it's safe. But if you're like, I don't care, I don't want no free course, you're not going to trick me with a free course. Okay, then on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage Springboards, and I'll show you the same thing, at least for this particular technique. You're not going to get all the other goodies, you're just going to get that one video and probably a crap load of ads. Just FYI. So if we want to do this on the 4th or 3rd string, it's easy. Watch. Now I'm going to play the 5th fret of the Eddie 8 Dynamite of the D string, okay? So I'm playing the 5th fret of the D string. And I'll know that's a G automatically because I know the next string's a G because goodbye Eddie, goodbye Eddie, right? So right there, and I know that because I watched the video in my free course, in Eric's free course, I know that this 5th fret of the D and the open G, I know those notes are the same. So now if I want to play up an octave, what I'm going to do for the 4th and 3rd string is I'm going to go down 2 strings and up 3 frets. Down 2 strings and up 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. That's different. Not up 2, but up 3. Easy enough, okay? Why is that, Eric? Don't worry why that is yet, okay? Just trust right now. Now, if I went to play the 4th fret of the G string, I know it's a B. One, because I learned in the method that Eric taught in a free course, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. But then also, I know how to tune the guitar because I watched that video too. So here's the 4th fret of the G string. It's a B. It's a B note. And if I go down 2 strings, 1, 2, and I go up 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, now I have an octave again. Isn't that cool? So if I wanted to find a bunch of A's really quick, I could say, there's an A, because I know that from Eddie 8 Dynamite. Paul, thank you. Some money to buy a guitar with dots on the fretboard, visible to students. Yeah, right? That would be helpful. Yeah, I should remember that. Yeah, that would be helpful. But nonetheless, you should be understanding these concepts with the dots or not, because we're not really using dots right now. I mean, I guess we could be for the 12th fret and the 5th fret, sure. Thank you, Paul. So kind, buddy. That's all right. I don't mind a little ribbing. So watch this. So I know this is an A because I learned Eddie 8 Dynamite Goodbye Eddie. So this is an A string. And I know this is an A because Eric just taught me that when he taught me how to tune the guitar by itself. And I know that this is an A because I can go down 2 strings, up 2 frets, and that's an A. And I know that off of the 4th string, the 4th and 3rd string, I would just go down 2 strings, 1, 2, and up 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, and there's yet another A. And I know this is an A because Eric said that whatever's on the E string matches the other E string. And I know that the 12th, the 5th fret, if I just add 12 to it, I go to the 17th fret, and that's also A. So now all of a sudden, me, as a beginner who just started playing guitar today, and Eric just taught me all these techniques, I know that this is an A, 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 this is an A. Oh, look at you go. And so when you're playing in a particular key, like the key of A, we know where all those A's are. And that's really important because that's our home base, okay? Makes sense? All right, we're going to get into some questions here in just a minute. I just want to hit 2 more things. 2 more things. Let's talk about it because I really want to build this solid foundation this week, okay? And if I can get the more stuff I can get out of this right now, the more I can cover these basics today, then we can get into the really, really, really cool stuff. Cool? Okay. Wow, it's so humid out that this piece of paper feels like soggy. It's weird. Okay. All right, Mike, would you put up the other half of that, if you would now?
It's up there.
It's up there. Thank you. Okay. Normally we have our monitor, but I broke it. Okay, so now the major scale. Let's talk about the major scale because, friends, and you really got to pay attention to this. Yes, you did need to pay attention to the other stuff, but this is super important as well. You do not want to skip this because this is the everything, okay? If we are a carpenter, this is our carpenter's square or our ruler, whatever. It's the thing that we're going to build some houses with. And if we don't have it, if we don't understand it, it's like showing up to the job as a carpenter and you forgot your square. And they're like, all right, get going. And you're like, I forgot my square. Okay, fired. Don't do that, okay? So really important here. We mentioned that the distance between one fret and the next is a half step, okay? I'll say it again. The distance between one fret and the next is a half step, okay? Now, the distance between 2 frets is called a whole step. 2 halves make a whole, right? So half is 1 fret, 2 frets is called a whole step. And with that information, we can create the major scale off of any note on this guitar or any other instrument for that matter very, very easily. If we know what a half or a whole step is, if we know what a half step is on any instrument, we can play major scales, minor scales, modes, pentatonic scales, chromatic scales, blues scales, major and minor, of all those, by the way, on any instrument instantly. Now, you may not be able to play them very quickly, but you will be able to do it, and I'll explain that, okay, throughout the week here. It's going to take a little explaining, but I promise you that literally this is the only thing you know. This is your carpenter square, so pay attention, all right? Here we go. The major scale is the quintessential scale that all things are based upon. You've heard do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Let's say that, right? We've heard that before. We're going to instead go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. We're just going to say the number. Why? Because we can do this for any key. Key of G would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. We were in the key of A, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Whereas all the notes are related to each other because of their distances from each other. The distance between one note and another note is called an interval. I know you think of an interval as an interval of time, but when it comes to music, when we're referring to an interval, we're referring to the distance between two notes. So the interval between here and here is a half step because it's one fret. The distance between here and here is a whole step because that's the interval distance. The distance between an open fret and the 12th fret is an octave, okay? So, there you go. Now, let's talk about it. If we just assemble these notes according to the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, we can start from any note on the guitar, doesn't matter, and we can build our major scale. The pentatonic scale comes out of the major scale. Every single mode, all the jazz modes, 7 jazz modes, major and minor pentatonic, major and minor blues scale, all of that comes from, and in all the keys, by the way, so if you go major, minor, let's see, both versions of pentatonic, both versions of the blues scale, the 7 modes, 5, 6, 7, we got 8, 9, 14, major and minor, also part of the modes. We got 14 times 12. Whatever that is, you literally would have access to that just by knowing this, okay? Important. Let's talk about it. So the major scale goes like this. Whole step, half step, whole, 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 half. You have it in the PDF. You don't have to, if you want to write this stuff down, that'd be great, but it's in the PDF for you inside the free course that you should be getting a hold of. If any of this is going over your head, I can't help you unless you're in there, okay? So I'm assuming you know that then, or you have access to it. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, or WWH, WWWH. You don't have to have this memorized, by the way. Take any note. We're going to take an F to start off. Okay, we don't even have to know that this is an F, by the way, but we do because we know that E doesn't have a sharp, so E goes straight to F, right? We know this. You know it. So straight to F. So if we want to build a scale, major scale off of this, then the only thing we need to do is pluck that first note and then follow it with our intervals, whole step, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? Oh, listen to that little pretty bird, right? Here we go. Watch this. Here's our F. We're going to go. Now remember, you don't say the interval until you move, because this is just a note. When we move our fingers, that's the interval. We don't say whole step. We say whole step when we move. Very, very important. Most people get this in the beginning, but I do see some students, they don't get it. They say whole step, and then they're off. They fell off the wagon already because they got to do it when you're moving. Okay, so like this. Watch. Hit our first note. Do this with me. Remember, friends, when I say to do this with me, I mean do it with me, because if you don't, you're not getting involved in it. There's a difference between being immersed in something and just being like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And you're just kind of like watching. When you're involved, things start happening. When you're not involved, things don't happen. Okay? Watch. I just lubed on my guitar there. Here we go. Here's an F. Watch. We're going to move up a whole step. So that means 2 frets. So boom. Whole step. We're going to move up another whole step. Half step. Whole. 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 half. Okay? Now let's do that again. Here we go. It's whole, whole, half. So we're going to go whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. Whole, 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 half. So 2 wholes and a half, 3 wholes and a half. Again. Whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. Cool? Now, but Eric, that's just that. I can't do that off of any fret. Well, sure you can, champ. Watch this. Now let's go to a B. We know it's a B because we know this is an open A, and using our whole thing where we know that every note has a sharp except for B and E, then A has a sharp. So A is Eddie 8, dynamite, goodbye Eddie. So A, here's A sharp, and here's B. So if we want to play a B major scale, which all the jazz modes are hidden in there, by the way, we play a B major scale, then we start on the B, and we follow our whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Here we go. Play the first note, go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Oh, what? It can't be that easy. It is. Last one, let's do it. Here's an E, or here's an E, 2nd fret of the D string, so D, Eddie 8, dynamite, so D, D sharp, because every note has a sharp except for B and E, and then E. So we're back at E, and that also matches our whole Springboards thing. If we go back to and up to, here's our open E. Down to, up to, here's our E. Matches up, right? So now let's play our major scale. So here's our first note, and we go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The fingering doesn't matter. Don't worry about the fingering. In fact, we're not going to talk anything about technique or anything like that this week. It's only music theory. It's all we're doing. Okay? Now, once you understand the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, that's super easy to memorize. Just write it on paper. Two W's and an H, 3 W's and an H. You got it memorized, right? Boom. Now, don't look at it anymore. Just do it a few times. Then once that feels comfortable, then I want you to start counting the interval, and you can do the whole, whole, half in your head. So like what I would do is I would just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can do this off of any note. It does not matter. That's our major scale, okay? Now, here's the homework. And this is something you should write down, by the way. 2 things that you need to do. Get in the free course and do the homework that I give you in there. Get the PDFs that I'm giving you. You can just lazily do this and kind of not get it, or you can immerse yourself. What else are you doing right now, right? You're here. Let's do this. You can immerse yourself in it and really learn this stuff once and for all, put it behind you, and then just have fun on the instrument. That's what I'm going for you, okay? I want you to have fun on the instrument. Let's get this stuff out of the way, okay? One of the homework assignments that I want you to do tonight, is I want you to work up a bunch of major scales. Either name the note or don't name the note. I don't care. Do both. But more, what I want you to do is I want you to be able to count, knowing the whole steps and half steps, and I want you to hear and listen to the tonality, listen to the feel of that. Make sure you're doing it right. Follow the video that I give you, okay? Then once you have that, again, we're going to be using this all week. It's so absolutely important that we get this, okay? All right, now, later on, as I show you in the course, we don't have to play this on one string. We're doing that linearly so you can visually see what we're doing, but later on you can do this. Or, there's so many different ways to do it. Okay, so many infinite ways to do it. When you go to a piano and you hit middle C, there's only one middle C. The guitar and other stringed instruments usually are not like this. You have the same note that you can play in different places. This is where musical notation sometimes comes in. It doesn't help as much as it would on a piano, because on a piano there's only one way to play it. On the guitar there's many ways that you can play it. That's where tablature comes in very handy, because you might play a high E right here, or you might play it right here, or you might play it here, or here, or here. Same note. Make sense? So, we'll reveal this more through the Springboards and some other things throughout the week, but just know that there are different places that you can play these notes. So when we're playing linearly here, it's just going to keep your mind in that whole half. But later on in UGS, I get into these different patterns for you so that you can easily, quickly play it. But it's good to know the basics behind this, okay? All right, now I'm going to teach you one more concept, and then we're going to get to some questions. Friends, I told you this was a crash course. Did you expect that we were just going to lightly look at this stuff? No. Okay, we got to deep dive into here, okay? So really, really important that we do that. All right, now, you know something? I say that I'm going to teach you that today. I'm not, because I'm not set up to do it. I'm going to need the whiteboard to do that. So I'm not going to teach it to you today. But tomorrow, I need to teach you about intervals, okay? The interval names. Let's talk about those definitions now. Were they up on the screen the whole time? Sorry. Let's talk about a few definitions here, and then we're going to get to intervals tomorrow, okay? Okay, so an interval is the distance between two notes. Half step, whole step, octave, perfect fifths, perfect fourths, major sevenths, major sixths, minor sixths, all these, okay? We're going to talk about those tomorrow, and I'm going to show you a way that you will literally get this like in less than 10 minutes, and you will never forget it for the rest of your life. You will know all the intervals by name and by distance. Friends, when you know that, you can embellish any chord. Now you're not stuck to a chord reference book or a grimoire or something like that. It's like you literally will be able to assemble chords and create them like math, okay? Super simple, but you got to know this stuff, and it's the stuff people always try to, just tell me the chord. Okay, cool, right? The whole teach a man to fish, give a man a fish, teach a man to fish, that whole one. If you teach them how to do a particular something, then they can always do it instead of just always having to rely on you. Or me, for that matter, which you don't want that. I'm trying to make you independent so you don't need me. You don't need a teacher, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about intervals tomorrow, but let's talk about a few definitions here. The interval is the distance between two notes, as we will talk about more tomorrow. A chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time. 3 or more notes played at the same time. Some people will define it as 2 or more notes played at the same time, and that's kind of loose. It's okay. No one's going to die if you say that. Essentially, though, what we're talking about is harmony. Okay, harmony is when we have more than one note playing at the same time. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. Doesn't matter. A major scale is the 1, 3, 5 scale steps from the major scale, okay? I'm going to give this to you just so you can sleep tonight and think about it, let the little wheels digest, let the wheels move, let all this stuff digest in your brain at night, and then tomorrow when we resume, you'll understand this more. But essentially, when we play a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, or the linear scale that we just learned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, if we do that, then we know the notes within the scale. These are our acceptable notes or our acceptable colors in the picture that we're going to paint when we're in a particular key. What we mean by key is we mean the tonal center, or the musical idea or central note, central chord that all the other notes and chords revolve around. Now, you may not know what that means still yet, but think about it like this. You know it, you would know it if it wasn't there, I should say, but you may not be able to identify it as it is today. You could think about the tonic or the key as being the central theme or the central idea, musically that is, of a particular song. So just like when you go see Star Wars, you can probably expect to see some stars and probably a war going on. That's all you know, Star Wars, right? So you go there, you're watching, yeah, indeed, there's stars, and yeah, they're fighting. Cool, Star Wars, I get it. So there's a central theme to that, right? If you go see, I don't know, Space Odyssey, right? Well, you know it's going to be an odyssey about space. If you go see Bridesmaids, there might be some bridesmaids in it, okay? There's going to be some sort of central theme, right? The title doesn't always match, but essentially what we're talking about is the central theme or the idea, not necessarily the title. So when we have a tonal center, all the notes, all the chords, and what have you revolve around that particular note, and we will examine this throughout the week. It'll make more sense as we delve into this more. But when we're talking about the 1, 3, 5 from the major scale, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're talking about those notes. But if we take the 1 and we isolate it, and we take the 3 and we isolate it, and then we add the 5, and we have a 1, a 3, and a 5, that is the definition of a major chord, is the 1, the 3, and the 5 scale notes from the major scale. It's that simple. Don't try to make it more difficult. That's literally the definition. So anytime if we went to A major and we played the A major scale, and we took the 1 and the 3 and the 5 from that scale and we played them together, we get an A major chord. I'm moving this note to the next string because we can't play two notes on one string. Right, so there's an A major chord. And an A minor chord would be the 1 flat 3, 5 from the major scale. So we have the 1, the 3, and the 5. So if we want to flat 3, then we have to flatten the 3. So here's the 3. And remember, to flatten means to lower it. We're going to just lower it by a half step. So now we have, this is our minor chord. Here's major, 1, 3, 5. But if we flatten that 3 a half step, 1, flat 3, 5. Now we have a minor chord. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's all we're going to look at as far as those definitions today. But we are going to get more into intervals and what have you tomorrow. Does that make sense? Okay, and once you understand the tonal center and some of this stuff starts sinking in, I promise you, the light bulbs are going to be going on. I know that the light bulbs are going on for some folks today. I tell you what, in fact, if some light bulbs went on today, even with this real basic stuff, and guess what, friends? Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Frank Zappa, the best guitar players in the world started one day and learned this stuff. They had to learn it. Don't think that they were such rock stars that they didn't learn this stuff. That's ridiculous to think that they would skip over the most important stuff about music, okay? If the lights went on for you during this, please let us know right now, because this will help me know that we're on the right track, okay? And then we're going to build all from here. We're going to build up on top of it, okay? I feel like there was something else I wanted to tell you, but we're going to get to some questions now. I want to dig in here. So, give me those questions. Let's get them ready. And friends, by the way, if you're watching on Instagram, I can't see those questions. I apologize. We have so many monitors and computers and cameras and what have you, but we still can't access everything because I think right now we're actually being streamed to, I don't know, a lot of places. How many places are we being streamed to right now, Mike? Do you know approximately?
Only 5 today.
Mm-hmm. That's 4 more than Friday. So we're being streamed to like 5 different places now. So beautiful. Lights are going on. Good. Okay. Yeah, what we're trying to do is trying to reach more folks, of course. So now, for a while there, we weren't on Facebook. Now we are on Facebook. Friends on Facebook, I love you, but I can't read your chats right now. We're working on this, okay? We're working on a thing where we could grab chats from all these different things, and the crew could feed me questions. But we're on the cutting edge of all this stuff, so we're kind of setting the trend here. So we're having to discover and research all this stuff. But we want to make this where we can reach as many people as possible, okay? But we're on 5 places right now: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and I think Twitch. Twitch, cool. All right. So if you're in any other place other than YouTube, I'm not going to see your questions. I apologize. No way we can do it. So please don't take it personally. Can't even see the thread, okay? But head over to my YouTube if you would like me to answer your questions. YouTube.com/YourGuitarSage. We'll eventually work it out where we can see some of your stuff, okay? Okay, so let's get to some questions here. Question. Well, now I've missed it. Okay, what's the difference between a minor pentatonic and A minor scale? Tutor's saying. Thank you so much for the donation that we just got from Brian. Thank you. The refresher is helpful. Good, good, good. Yeah, beautiful. What is the difference between the A minor pentatonic and the A minor scale? So, the minor scale, the major scale, and all the jazz modes have 7 notes in them. The pentatonic scale has 5 notes in it. And we always compare the major scale or any other scale, we always compare to the major scale. Let me say that again because it didn't sound right. Every scale that we analyze, every chord that we analyze, we are always using our carpenter's square, known as the major scale, right? You're a carpenter, you need the carpenter's square. As a musician, you need the major scale because that is our benchmark, right? It's the de facto that we're going to literally use to measure every single scale, every single chord, intervals, etc., etc. This is why the major scale is so important, not necessarily because we're going to use it so much. So if we're comparing the pentatonic scale to something else, then we are literally comparing it to the major scale. And the pentatonic scale is the 5-note scale, and basically it is the major scale minus the 4 and the 7. So, and I'm going somewhere with your minor question here, but if we're playing let's say we're playing C major. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if we're going to play the pentatonic version of that, penta meaning 5-note scale, then what we're doing is we're skipping the 4 and the 7. So 1, 2, 3, skip over the 4, go straight to the 5, 5, 6, skip over the 7, and play the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. That's pentatonic. Now, if you think about the minor scale and the minor pentatonic, you're basically leaving out the same exact notes. So instead of we're playing, right? Because the C major pentatonic has a C, D, E, G, A, and that's it. So we're leaving out the F and we're leaving out the B. We're leaving out the F and the B. So you could say the same thing about the A minor pentatonic. So the A minor pentatonic was, A minor, it's just A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No sharps or flats. That's A minor. The pentatonic would be leaving out the F and leaving out the B. So, cool? All right. And by the way, we'll get to it later. But the reason that I was associating, I'll mention it several times because it's really important. And if you don't hear it several times, you might miss it. There's something called relative major and minor. And it says this. You guys know this. If you've watched me before, you know this. Relative major and minor. For every major key, there's a related minor. And for every minor key, there's a related major. And what that means is that they share the exact same sets of notes in the exact same sets of chords. Think about it like two people talking about something that maybe they're debating or they don't agree on. They're using the same words. They're saying the same. They're saying the same words, but the way they're using those words define what it is that their standpoint is, or in this case, when we're talking about music, their tonal center. So even though C major and A minor have the same exact set of notes, it's the way that the notes are being played, the way the chords are being played, and what I mean is the choice of notes, the choice of chords that are being played that dictate what the tonal center is. Okay. If you are in a major key and you want to find the related minor key, you just go down 3 half steps. It's literally that easy. In any key, if you're in the key of G, you want to find the related minor, you go down 3 half steps, and it's in E. If you're in the key of C, go down 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3, it's in the key of A. If you're in the key of D, related minor is 1, 2, 3 into the key of B minor. If you're in the key of D minor and you want to find the related major, you go up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3, and it's F. So if you want to be happy, you go up from the minor. If you want to be sad, you go down. Right? Three half steps down to be sad. Go 3 half steps up to be happy. So if you know that you're in a major key, the related is 3 half steps down. If you know you're in a minor key, the related major is 3 half steps up. We'll talk about that quite a bit this week, but that's why I compared A major or A minor and C major together, because they share the same sets of notes. Cool? Okay. What is your best tip for finger flexibility? How to make the pinky grow. So Claudia, if you look at your hand, your pinky is so far away from your thumb. And if you just think about, let's go back to caveman days. Back when we were cavemen and we were picking up our Voss or our thermos, right? Our stone thermos. We picked it up like this. We grab it like that, right? Our pinky may not even be using it much. So it's sitting out here. It's not getting much use. But the thumb is so close to the first finger and the second finger there that because of that, it gets a lot of usage. And so it's very strong, not just for you because you've been doing this since you were a baby, but also your mama and your daddy and their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. So this is literally pretty hardwired into your DNA that pinky is going to be small and it's far away from your thumb. So it's going to be the laziest. That being said, it literally is all about practice. It's not you, Claudia. It's not you. It's everybody's finger. Everybody's pinky is weak. So it needs exercise. It needs a little special attention. It's the runt of the litter, if you will. So give it special attention. The runts always turn out the best anyhow. You know that. You knew that, right? It's true. So exercise that finger. And Claudia, I have the exercise, the exact exercise that you need inside the free course, third link below, or go to YourGuitarSage.com/30. Get in there. It's called Exercise 1. And when you get to that video, that free video they have for you in the free course, top 30 lessons, which is more than 30 actually, but nonetheless, they're there for you. But when you get to that exercise, there's going to be 24 variations on that specific exercise. Okay, I have them in a PDF for you. So 24 variations for you on that, and that's what to do. Okay, that's where to find it. Okay, good. Is it better to think of the relative major and minor chords using the natural number system, but scales as 2 views? Do you ever think about your minor root as the 6? Is my main point. Bobby, yes, this is what I do. I used to take so there can be a major or minor tonal center. And for 99.9% of all music, okay, for 99.9% of all music, related, it's going to be major or minor. That's it, okay? So if you understand that it's going to be one of those 2 tonal centers, you're going to be in good shape. So the question is, do I ever think about the minor root as the 6 is my main point? Yes, Bobby, I do this all the time. I can even tell you that I did it even harder before that. What I used to do is I used to take, if the tonal center was a 6, I would call it the 1. I'd call it the minor 1, because this is how I learned it from being a classical guitar major. The classical guitarists would say, okay, well, that's the 1, that's the tonal center, so we're going to call it the minor 1. Fine and dandy, but it's more work, and it doesn't help. When I moved to Nashville, and I was charting all this stuff, and my wife, who has been involved in the country music business longer than I have, or Nashville music business, she would say, why do you chart your stuff like that? That's not a 1, that's a 6, that's a 6 minor. And I'd say, well, no, that's the tonal center, that's the minor 1. And she goes, well, in Nashville, we don't think about it that way. We think about everything in the major key, because country songs, if they go into a minor key, they always come back to a major key anyhow. So it's always the tonal center is the major 1. It makes it easier to think about, and you don't have to memorize all those other chords again, instead of having to learn the chords, as you're going to see later on. So what I do is I think about the 1 as the tonal center, or the minor 6 as the tonal center, if that is the tonal center, but I don't change it to a minor 1 and all the other chords accordingly. It's just a minor 6 and that's it. For some of you, this is going over your head, but I promise you, just stick around. It will start making sense more, because you're getting information here before, if I'm answering questions here, you're getting it differently than in the order that I would be teaching you. The step-by-step thing, you should be getting that. And if you're not, then you still have access to the free course, okay? It makes sense? Okay. question from Facebook. Oh, thank you, Amber. Mason Krangle, should we incorporate song playing as often as possible? What genres would you recommend for beginners? Classical seems tough. Okay, great question, Mason. And Amber, so kind of you to do that. Thank you for grabbing that question for us. We really appreciate that. So I don't recommend any genres unless, I mean, I do. I'll tell you the genres I like, but what do you like? I love chocolate chip pancakes. You may hate chocolate chip pancakes. So what do you like? Go with that. But if you want my choice, what I like, I love blues. I love rock. Those are my favorites. So that's what I would suggest. Or popular music. You know, Elvis and the Beach Boys and Katy Perry and Taylor Swift and Bruno Mars, whatever. You know what popular music is. It's the stuff that everybody's listening to. Popular music. Could be rock, could be punk, could be jazz, could be anything. That's my suggestion for you, pop music. I have about 1,300 videos-ish on YouTube where I teach lots of these songs. So if you're ever looking for a particular song, search YourGuitarSage Elvis or YourGuitarSage Clash or YourGuitarSage Beatles. Chances are you're going to see some stuff come up, okay? That's what I would suggest. And should you incorporate songs as often as possible? Yes, and as soon as possible. I mean, you should be doing this almost immediately because people don't want to hear exercises, they want to hear songs. So what I would say is go through the first 30 lessons in UGS first. But once you get to the end of that, now start incorporating songs. There is a time when I'm teaching my one-on-one students where I say, no songs yet, because you want to learn the basics. Just like, look, a baby is not like out of the gate learning songs. Okay, a baby, or it's not out of the gate saying sentences. They're doing stuff like trying to walk, trying to eat and not choke, trying to do basic stuff. Well, we, as newbies to the guitar, are babies. I don't care what age you are, you're a baby coming to it. It's okay. Everybody has to start there. The bests started at that baby face. It's the only place you can start, right? I don't know of any other place you could start at. So there you go. You got to start there, and but as soon as you can get through that beginner stuff, then definitely get into songs because people want to hear songs. They don't want to hear exercises. But the exercises help us to concentrate on what it is that we need to do technically, you know, with dexterity and what have you, without going, oh, I'm playing the song right. I can hear it sounds good, but maybe you got bad technique, right? We need to be somewhat concerned with technique at first. Then we can start getting musical. Cool? Okay. Shihab, what kind of exercise do I suggest? Exercise number 1 inside of UGS Standard, third link below, YourGuitarSage.com/30. Okay, MSG Night, can the crew come on and say hi? I tell you what, we're working on a crew camera. So yes, very, very, very soon. In fact, we got one sitting in the back of the room right now. We're going to set it up this week. We're going to have a crew camera set up. We're going to be doing all sorts of stuff for live now that Mike during this time away has been working on our live show. So he's the one who's streaming this out to all the other places, and he's got all these really cool things that we're going to be doing. So stick around. It's going to get cooler. That's what I'm saying. Okay? All right. Cool? All right. Good. Good. Yeah. Wicked Games. Bang Bang. Good. Georgie, you're talking my kind of music there. I love that stuff. Wow. Yeah. How many power chords are there? Well, remember, a power chord is really technically it's not a chord, it could be, but it's an interval. It's a fifth. So we play the 1 of the scale and the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we play the 1 and the 5, and that's a power chord. Now some people will add the octave and make it 3 notes. Now that's an actual chord. That's a 1, a 5, and a 1. But some people will just play a 1 and a 5, you know? Or you could play it with 3 notes. Okay, so technically, how many power chords are there? There's lots, but there's just octaves of the same one. So really there's 12, right? if we started at A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, etc. Just as many as there are notes, there's that many power chords. But they can be played at different places on the necks, known as a fifth. Cool? All right. Yes, the 1, 3, 5 is a triad. A triad is really is a 3-note chord, and that could be anything. But usually, we're talking about major, minor, diminished, or augmented. A major triad is a 1, 3, 5. An augmented triad is a 1 flat 3, 5. By the way, see, we know the major scale, and that's our Carpenter's square, right? So we can just say a 1, 3, 5. We don't have to go, it's the 1, 3, 5 from the major scale. We don't have to say that every time. Or if we're talking about a minor, well, it's the 1 flat 3, 5 from the major scale. We just say it's a 1, 3, 5. We know this now because that's our standard. See? These are shortcuts. This is why we're learning music theory. Okay, poor Dave Grohl says he doesn't know. He's not going to be able to talk this talk. He can rock out though, but he wouldn't be able to talk this talk. That's unfortunate because it's going to limit him with things that he might be able to do. However, that being said, I'm telling you, the guy knows stuff. He knows all sorts of stuff. Amazing musician, amazing writer. So 1, 3, 5, major. 1 flat 3, 5 is minor. 1 flat 3, flat 5 is diminished. 1, 3, sharp 5 is an augmented chord. Augment means to make bigger. Diminish means to make smaller, right? I just read your comment, MSG. Okay, any tips on how to get your amp settings to what you want? Okay, well, you just answered it, what you want. So you adjust the knobs to where you want them to be. Friends, don't overthink this. If it sounds like poop, what more permission do you need to tweak your knobs? And I'm not getting weird there. Seriously. If it doesn't sound good, tweak your daggone knobs. All right? Just get the sound that you're looking for. So you know, you could watch videos on YouTube about this, about how to get certain sounds and what have you. But people say all the time, you know, they like my sound. They'll say, what are your amp settings? And I'm like, well, if I gave you my amp settings, well, first I'd have to kill you. But then secondly, no, I tell you my amp settings, I don't care. But no, see, if I tell you my amp settings, that's on my particular amp that has mods with a particular speaker going through a particular pedal with my guitar and my playing with my pick and my cable with my microphone. It's going to have a certain sound to it that you're not going to get with your guitar and your pick and your cable and your amp and all the rest. And this is where, unfortunately, people start getting this idea that there's a perfect guitar and a perfect amp and a perfect this or that and anything. There's not, friends. When you were a little kid and you painted with finger paints, were you like, now wait a minute, mother, is this Crayola? Or were you like, give me the paints, rah! You know, you just were creative. I want you to conjure that back up to where you're just painting. You don't want to get stuck on what is the right setting. So, Jake, tweak those knobs to where they sound, to where you can get the sound that you want. You may not get the sound that you want from your amp by tweaking those knobs. That means that you might need to get something else. Maybe your guitar is not fitting what your ear. So listen, whatever it is that your ear is hearing, it's probably something that you've heard on the radio or something that you've heard from a favorite artist on a record or whatever. Okay, so you're here. You have a representation of that. So if you love AC/DC, listen to AC/DC a lot, and if you want to get that sound, then that's your muse. Create that. Do some reading about it. You know, but your particular amp is going to do a particular something. Now you got to tweak. Sometimes that's with a pedal, sometimes it's with a different guitar, sometimes it's with a different pick. And the more you learn about this stuff, the more you're going to understand about, you know, the science of colors, if you will, but related to music, the science of notes or timbre, as we talked about it earlier, okay? Okay, so paint by numbers. How about John Frusciante? He can make melodies out of nothing. What do you think he focuses on? Okay, I'd love to get your perspective on stuff like this. I love it because it tells me so much. How about John Frusciante? Well, how about him? Number one, he's a badass guitar player. He's amazing, one of my favorite. He can make a melody out of nothing. Well, so can you, honestly. You could take a guitar right now and you can make a melody out of nothing. Without even knowing music theory, just using your ear, you could come up with something. Now, it may not be exactly what you're looking for, but I would question how much you've been practicing guitar and how long John Frusciante's been practicing guitar. If you think that there's a difference in time, then maybe that's the thing that makes a difference between the two of you. It's not that he's John Frusciante, it's not that he's in the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it's that he spent lots of time being dedicated to that instrument, so he's going to know it well. Just like he probably knows his mom and his wife, if he's married, better than you know them, because he spent more time with them. So it's literally just spending time with your instrument. You're going to start getting more intimate with it. You are literally going to start knowing it more. The tone, what you can get out of it, and the rest. But John, I'm sure he knows theory in some way or another. I don't care what he says. I don't care what anybody says that they don't know a particular something. If they're sounding right, they know patterns and they know music theory, because you can't escape it. You can't just be like, man, I'm gonna play whatever I want, whatever, man. I'm just gonna be free, man. I'm just gonna be free. I hear this from musicians sometimes, and it's really funny because it lets me know how little they know about music, and it's all just sheer emotion. And then when I listen to their music, it's either something that's very symmetrical or something that's so out there it's not even funny, because they're like, I ain't following any rules, man. I ain't following any rules. And it doesn't sound very good. But if it sounds symmetrical and it sounds like a regular song, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're following all sorts of rules. And if they're not following all sorts of rules, it usually sounds like crap. So don't be afraid of the rules or music theory. It's going to guide you to where you want to go. Okay? Make sense? How do you do whole, half across the strings? Steve. Well, I've given you some hints on how to do that today, but it's not, the stuff I'm giving you this week are things that you're like, boom, the light goes on. If I showed you how to do this across the strings, there's so many different ways to do it, and it's not such a massive aha moment that you're going to be like, oh, wow, that's so easy, I'll just do that. There's some memorization there, okay? But I do show you how to do that inside of UGS Pro, for sure. Can't find today's PDFs. Any help? Outlaw. These are all inside of the free. Outlaw Banana is the name, by the way. Amazing moniker. That's beautiful. Outlaw Banana. I don't even know what that means, but it looks like a banana with some sort of, maybe a gun? Wow. That is magical. I don't know what it is, but that's, if I was going to eat a banana, I would not mess with that one. Okay, so the PDFs are in the free course today. Third link below, YourGuitarSage.com/30. Okay. Okay, Willie is saying a chord is a triad, 1, 3, 5. Why do major chords include notes from 2 octaves, such as a C, including the B, or the G, including the B and high E? Willie, because we can. That's literally the answer, because we can. Otherwise, your C chord, if you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to play a triad, Eric said, now you're just playing strings 5, 4, and 3. So if you're playing chords, now you're like, okay, I can only play the triad. Now you're really trying to just play those 3 strings instead of going. And doesn't that sound much better? Doesn't that sound much better? Yeah, that was correct. Doesn't that sound so much better? So it's because we can. That's the answer. Dennis is saying, where on the fretboard are the majority of songs played, including the use of the capo, acoustic, or electric guitar? Dennis, open position almost always. The guitar is almost always played in the open position. When it's not, there's a capo, and it doesn't usually go much past the 5th fret, as a rule of thumb. In fact, I would say open position almost all the time, and then the capo would go on, starting on the first fret and then walking up, and as you go up, less and less times. Same thing with the electric. Okay, Bobby Z is saying, for the A minor scales, the theory you recommend 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, or the perspective from the C major scale 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bobby, it's good to know it both ways, but when you're starting off, just know it according to as it is in the C major scale. Now you're learning. Now you don't have to memorize twice as much stuff, and you're getting the same job done. I don't know about you guys, but if someone said, I'm going to give you $100 to do this, and they're like, you can do this much work, or you can do this much work times 2, and I'm like, okay, now is it for 100? I'll take the one over here where I have to do half as much work. So that's why I'm saying just do it from the major scale perspective at first. Later on, there is some reasons why you might want to know that, but starting off, let's do it the easy way, okay? Patricia, where's the PDFs for today? The third link below is going to give you access to YourGuitarSage. It's going to give you access to Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. It's the free course that you get today. And guys, is that up on Twitch and all the rest or now?
The links.
The description?
The links probably not so much.
No.
Okay, if you would, let's put a note. We'll do that for next time. So if you're watching on Twitch, obviously, if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Facebook, head over to our YouTube if you want to have access to that. This is the first time that we're going live to all these different places in a long time. We've done Instagram, we've done Facebook before, but we're getting acclimated to the studio again, and there's 10 million different switches and knobs to twist. So it's going to take time for us to get up and running. If you want to have access to this, head over to YouTube right now. Go to youtube.com/YourGuitarSage. Get on this live broadcast. The third link below is going to give you access to the free course. Or right now, do it right now. Come on with me right now. Here we go. Let's do it. Open a tab. You're doing it with me. I'm going to take the time. You're with me. And type in YourGuitarSage.com/30. That's going to give you access to that free course. That's where all the PDFs are, many of them. Okay, all the ones that we're going to be talking about right now. Okay, cool. All right. Eric, question mark, you just had a donation of $500. Where? Is that true?
I don't think so. We looked.
Okay, Gary, if I did, I didn't see it. Where? You got to let me know where that happened, Gary, because it didn't happen on YouTube.
Let us know who.
Let us know who, because they need to be recognized that they just donated $500. Jeez. Okay. Okay, paint by numbers. Haha, thanks. Okay, but was wondering, private lessons online if possible. Paint by numbers. If you're asking, do I do private lessons online? I'm going to say probably not because of just the cost of it. It's just not going to be it's going to be cost prohibitive, if that makes sense. Because think about it. Right now, if we had 850 people in the chat just on YouTube, and then we got our Instagram folks, and we got a few hundred people on Facebook maybe, and then we got Twitch and all these different places. I mean, we're going to be reaching over 1,000 people, and that's just for me sitting down here and doing this. So my heart is to help as many beings as possible in this world. That is literally my call, is that before I die, if I can reach and help and lift up as many beings, I say beings because my love for animals, and people, humans, systems, whatever. I want to help the world as many people as possible. So if I'm teaching one person, which I used to do tons of, I can't access other people at the same time. That being said, I would do it, but it would be so expensive it just wouldn't be worth it. I'm talking like $300 an hour. Not worth it, probably for you. You know what I'm saying? So, plus, I have everything in my courses for you. So paint by numbers, if you're saying that and you haven't gone through UGS Standard already, start there, my friend. And literally for the price of like 2 hours with me or less than 2 hours with me, you could have access to everything inside of the Unstoppable Guitar System, everything available in 365, everything available for my live broadcast, my 1,300 videos that I have on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. You would have so many lessons, you would never know what to do with them all. but you would have access step by step in the whole 9 yards. So if you're like, I want to learn the number system, boom, you can do it, okay? Okay, all right. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. Planning on being here a long time. Okay. All right. Oh, was it 500 PHP? Did someone donate 500 PHP? That's pesos, I think.
Yeah, that was a little bit ago.
Okay. If I missed that, then thank you so much. Oh, was it Les Paul? Les Paul Moray. Okay. Les Paul, if I missed you, buddy, thank you so much for the donation. I'm so sorry if I missed that. So sorry. So kind, friend. Okay. Oh, good. Scott, loving this, Eric. Learned so much in the past 2 months. My head's exploding. Signed up for UGS Pro. Woo! Keep it coming. Okay, we will. Yeah, exactly. Willie said, I thought this was a private lesson. Are there other people on here? I get more from other people's questions than my own. And yes, you will find that in these situations where there's many of us together, you will find that, that you're going to get inspiration from other people because you're like, oh man, I never thought about that. Or you're also going to find out that no, you're not a freak. No, you're not, have some sort of disorder that you can't do this. The reason that you're not able to do it is for the same reason the other people can't do it, is that guitar is not super, super easy. I mean, a piano, you can go up to it and play a chord day one. You can't do that on a guitar for the most part, Fingertips hurt and everything else. It's a challenge. Guitar is a challenge for sure. And I'm not denying that. But it's a fun challenge, and if you learn it step by step, with someone who cares about you and is going to guide you through things, it makes it so less painful, so much more fun. And if you want challenge, then you just go faster. That's it. Okay? Okay. Isn't like Chinese martial arts where they keep this dangerous knowledge secret? Yeah. It doesn't have to be secret, and this is why I do what I do, is because I've always been a hacker. I've loved to figure stuff out, like why things work a certain way, and that's why I do what I do, is because I love to figure things out, and that's to your benefit because you guys get to learn this stuff way quicker than I did, way quicker. Like the stuff that you guys are getting into this last 2 months, it took me 20 years to learn that stuff, okay? And you guys are getting it like that. So what's the saying, standing on the shoulders of giants, right? It's like you go out, you'll do greater things. Has that faith always sounded that bright, or do you just change the strings out? No, it's pretty bright sounding. I have not changed the strings. Those will probably get changed here shortly. I need to call Greg Ellis, my guitar tech, because some of my guitars are starting to get squirrely already, so I need to call him out for sure. I'm very new to playing guitar. Where do I start as far as getting my fingers to move faster? Miss Irene is saying. Okay, Miss Irene. Number one, how did you do that with your typing? It's completely different than everybody else. Nice, very creative. So this is what I want you guys to think about as far as speed on the guitar. Don't think about speed. Here's why. Focus on accuracy. Accuracy is something that you can get right now. You can attain it right now. You can get the dopamine hit for it. You can be rewarded for it right now by doing it accurately and going, oh man, I did it. But speed is elusive. Speed is subjective. Speed is always a moving goalpost. So wherever you're at, you're always going to be like, well, heck, I'm not there yet. I'm not fast enough. So it's going to frustrate if you're focusing on it. It's like trying to, I'll get biblical. It's like trying to grab oil with your hand, or trying to grasp wind with your hand, or trying to catch my cat to give it medicine. It's hard. It's not easy to do. Okay, so Irene, focus on the dexterity exercises that I give you inside the program, inside of UGS. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Link is the third link below here on YouTube. If you're watching in one of the other places, if you head to my YouTube, you're going to find that out, okay? But just focus on the accuracy, and the speed is something that will happen. It's a byproduct. You will never get fast before you get accurate, and accuracy you can get today. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. Metronome is important for timing. Yes, it does. It does help. Yeah. But that being said, Arian, if it's introduced too early, and this is completely subjective. It's dependent on the student. If it's introduced too early, it can be frustrating. And then again, here come the myths. I suck. I can't play fast enough. All this stuff. Friends, you got to build an inner strength where you know who you are and that you know that you're unstoppable, that you know that you're an infinite being. This is not poppycock, wishy-washy, woo-woo talk. This is stuff that if this stuff is going over your head and you're not getting what I'm saying here, you need to keep watching these, because there will be a point, as many of these students do, where they found out, oh, Eric's not joking, because I'm finding out that I'm doing all sorts of stuff that I never imagined I could be doing before. And guess what? That's where you're at on the spectrum today. You were over here doubting that you could get here. And the only thing that you could see, you can believe all this because this already happened, but all this you don't necessarily believe because you hadn't got there yet. But I'm here, and I can say, well, most assuredly you can get there. Now, beyond me, I still know that that's possible too, because I've condition my mind to do that. And then it's just a matter of practice to get there, right? But understand that metronome, if it's introduced too quickly, it may get you to start thinking, oh, it's going to mess up your vision of the future, because you'll be like, I suck. I'm not good at this. It's not that. It's that you probably introduced something too challenging too quickly, okay? There's no reward in setting a goal too big and failing. I mean, nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but like, don't set a goal too big and then fail, and they just always set goals too big that you fail. There's no reward in that. You should set something that's challenging, but that's also somewhat attainable. You can always set more, you know? You can always set more. Wishy-washy woo-woo stuff. You heard me. Thank you, Ike. I'm so glad to be back in the studio. I'm so glad to see Mike and Emmy. I gave them just massive air hugs today. How do you know whether or not to strum up or down? That's a great question, Starchild. Down with the downbeats and up with the upbeats. I cover this in high detail along with 5 levels of strumming exercises that I give you for free. YourGuitarSage.com/30. Third link below on YouTube. I have a PDF for you in that, and I walk you through it, okay? So you'll totally understand how to do this, okay? Okay, yeah. Does that make sense with the up and down, right? Rick Beato proved the best oldies changed time slightly. Yes, 100%. 100%. If you listen to those, look, the first time you hear a song, it's just ear candy. You're listening to it, whether it's Roxanne that starts off and they hadn't got the 2-inch tape, the original tape that they recorded it on, the master, they hadn't turned it on yet, and then when they were mixing to two tracks so that you can listen to it on your headphones, they hadn't started the machine yet, and it starts off, it goes bam, 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 bam. If you listen to the old, not remastered track of it, now the remastered track, they got it up to speed, boo, and you don't get to hear that thing, which was so cool in the beginning. So yes, indeed, all sorts of stuff, timing issues and tuning issues and what have you, but you know, who cares? It sounds great. It's also what gives it that reality. Look, we just did 2 months in my wife's writer room. We did these lives, and I was using my cell phone instead of, $20,000 worth of gear. So, and you guys were here learning, and we did just great, didn't we? So there's something to say about that, just keeping it real, for real. There's also something nice about good equipment, good lighting, too. Bobby Z is saying, what's your view on learning 5 pentatonic shapes, for example, or knowing which 5 notes are in the scale, trying not to get stuck in the future by being limited? Bobby, beautiful question. Let me tell you exactly what I think about that. Number one, don't think about the notes in the scale. They really are not that important in the beginning. You could go decades and decades and not worry about the notes in the scale. The only people that really are so concerned with the notes in the scale are people who are really, 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 really analytical thinkers, really pride themselves on analytical thinking, and also have a great amount of ego that says, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, these notes need to be known, etc., etc. If you're getting upset about what I'm saying right now, you're the exact person I'm talking about. I hate it for you. I'm sorry. I know you'll probably switch me off now, but if you allow me to guide you, I'm going to bring you someplace, okay? And I'll mention this just Thrash Metal, thank you so much, buddy. So kind. Keeping it real, real. Thrash Metal was the first person to ever donate on this channel. I remember that. Thank you, Thrash Metal. So, Bobby, so don't remember the notes, because guess what? They change for every single key. So now you're talking, let's just do a little math here, right? We got 5 notes, 1, 2, 3. We got 5 notes, but we've got a full scale would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 times 5 forms, that's 55, times 12 different keys. So 55 times 12, now you get to memorize all those notes because we got 12 different keys. Make sense? That's not a lot. I mean, that's a lot to memorize. That's hard. 55 times 12, don't do it. It's not going to help you that much. Again, if we're thinking about Pareto's rule, which says if you memorize these 20% of things, this 20% of the right stuff in the right order, you'll be able to do 80% of the job. Or conversely, you can learn the other 80%, which is 4 times the amount of stuff, and it's only going to yield a pinch more, right? So there you go. So don't do that. What I would suggest doing, though, if you want to learn those different pentatonic forms, do that. But Bobby, before you do that, what I would do is I would tell you to get into minimalistic blues as I teach it on YouTube, or inside, I have whole courses for it inside of UGS. Understand how to phrase using one form. Because all those forms, let's say you had 105 pentatonic shapes. If you don't know how to use one form, how's 105 going to help you? I don't know about you, but I can only use one hammer at a time. And if I'm not very good with one hammer, I'm not going to go buy 5 hammers. I'm going to use one daggone hammer, and I'm going to get really good with it. But if I have a bunch of hammers and I'm like, well, God, I'm not good at this one. Wow, this one sucks too. What about this one? God, all these hammers suck. I need more hammers. Nope, it's not the hammers. It's not the forms. You need to get good at that one form. So what I would implore you to do before you go learn those other 5 shapes is get really good at that one form, as I teach in minimalistic blues. That teaches you how to phrase, and then now once you've exhausted one form, you're like, holy crap, I'm like freaking Jimmy Page with this form. I'm playing licks all day long. And then you get bored. Then you go, let's see what form 2 has to offer. Now you're like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. Now that form will start coming to life because you've got the association from the first form. Does that make sense? That's what you want to do. Okay? Rhonda, 660. I know, right? Guess what? We had 860 before. What? I know. It's awesome. And we are in a bunch of other places right now, too. So, and this is only going to get bigger and better and more fun, okay? Oh, is that like 660? I don't know. Oh, okay, I gotcha. Nothing. Talking to myself here. Oh, my knees hurt. I killed a turtle when I was 3 because I needed to know how it worked. I know, little kids do stuff like that, man. They're like, argh. I know. I tried to watch my little kid last night. He killed a spider. He was trying to catch it with his little bug catcher because he's obsessed with spiders right now. And he smashed the spider. I'm like, oh, little buddy, like, can't do that. Like, you gotta, But it's so tender, it's so sweet that they just want to know, and at the same time, they need guidance. That's why they need adults to guide them. Good leading adults to say, don't do that. 660. Oh, I see what you see, MSG. Okay, yeah, 660. That'd be too much to mess with, right? Okay. Eric, have you ever used the hexatonic scale? No, I have not. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scales that I've never used, let alone even played. This is why I tell you, they're really... Marty, tomorrow we're going to drop a video. Marty was here right before all this happened, and we did a video, and that's going to drop tomorrow. We're going to do a premiere at 1:15. You guys are going to be with us. And he said the same exact thing. He's like, pentatonic. It's all pentatonic, like all the time. Yes, sometimes you use diatonic. Sometimes you'll use a diminished here or there, but I'm saying this is all, that's the other 80% of the stuff. If you don't have that 20% down and you're looking at the 80% stuff, you're going to make things harder for yourself. And unfortunately, you're going to be learning stuff that you're going to hardly ever be able to use. And it's going to sound really weird if you don't have the basics down and then you whip out a hexatonic or a diminished run and you can't play the pentatonics. It's going to sound really weird. You know, it'd be like my 3-year-old or like my 4-year-old, he's 4 now. It'd be like him, like not being able to go to the bathroom himself, but yet he's catwalking down the street on a motorcycle. And I'm like, really? But you can't hit the potty at night. So that was what it would be like. So learn the pentatonic scale. Don't worry about the hexatonic, right? Okay, beautiful. This week's schedule of topics. It's all sorts. Let's see, do I have some basic ideas of what it is we're going to be talking about? Yeah, I do. So today we talked about the notes on the fretboard, right? We talked about definitions that we need to know. We talked about the major scale, talked about tonal center. We did talk about intervals. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We didn't talk about basic rhythms. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And we didn't talk about chord definitions. So, but we got to a lot today. We talked about physics of sound, notes. We talked about springboards, lots of stuff in this one, the major scale. What other things that we're going to be talking about are those things that I just mentioned. So intervals, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Basic rhythm, whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, sixteenths, etc., etc. We're talking about those. Triplets. If I don't talk about that, remind me. Chord definitions, how to build chords. We're talking about inversions, known as slash chords. We're talking about capos, how to use the capo, how it's going to change our key, how we're going to know what key we're playing in, how to be able to say, hey, I want to play that in a different feel, but I want it to be the same key. How to say, hey, I want to play that with the same feel, but not the same key. Like, we're going to learn all that with the capo. We're going to learn about the number system this week. We're going to learn about the cage system. We're going to learn how scales work with chords. So much stuff, friends, and only the stuff that you're going to use. We're going to learn about bar chords, national number system, if I didn't say it. Okay, friends, we're done. Thank you so much for being here today. If you have not already, go ahead, hit that like button. Don't do it again if you've done it already, because again, your thumb will go away if you've hit it twice. So just hit it one time. What else? Oh, go ahead and share this in some way. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Twitch, we don't know much about Twitch. We're new to Twitch. This is the first time we've been on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch and you're watching, hello, thank you. We're going to put descriptions in all of these things going forward. Help us get the word out there. So please just share this right now, but we're going to be on these other platforms and what have you, and we're building the show up this week. We're going to be doing tons of live. We're also going to be cutting some videos this week. Hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. Friends, if you want more information about all the stuff we talked about, if you really want to be ramped up and you want to be ahead of the game, get inside of UGS Standard. It's free for you guys today. YourGuitarSage.com/30. I charge nothing for it. It is going to absolutely build a solid foundation for you so that when we sit in these videos, you're going to have the information so that we can talk shop and you can kick ass, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you for the beautiful donations today. You guys majorly showed up today. It was so kind. Great questions. And again, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And don't forget, we also have the premiere that we're going to be doing. And Emmy, Mike, any links that you guys want to drop, if you would, please drop those maybe to the store. Drop one to the store. And then also, do we have a video that just went up? We did.
The last one was Andy.
Andy. Could put Andy's up there. Nonetheless, I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. You guys rule. See ya.